Hi everyone, good evening, and hi Miss Greaves. I am Patty Elliott, and I will begin my PowerPoint presentation on international compensation. International compensation is defined as an internal rate of return valued by employees according to their contribution or performance in achieving the organization's goals. This definition could be retrieved on the following website. Compensation could be monetary or non-monetary, as well as extrinsic or intrinsic in value. These monetary or non-monetary rewards include base salary, benefits, perquisites, long-term and short-term incentives. Compensation policies for multinational firms. What are the main objectives of these policies? The objectives of these policies should be consistent with the overall strategy, structure, and business needs of the organization. They should aim to attract and retain the best talent for areas with greatest needs. So they would know what areas of the company has the greatest needs. And in trying to attract the employees, the expatriates or the international employees, they know that they would have to come up with competitive incentives or reimbursements so that they would be able to have them accept the offer. Also, they should facilitate the employees' transfer in the most cost-effective manner for the organization and at the same time enhance employee satisfaction. So although the company would be looking at how much to spend, they still should not be too cheap because they would have to satisfy the customer's needs. Right? Also, the policy or the objective of the policy should be clear to the employee's understanding as well as easy enough for the administration to put in place. As an employee would be embarking on an international assignment, there would be particular needs in which they would want to have met from the organization's compensation policy. So the expatriates or the international employees would develop a sense of comfort knowing that the following objectives are met. 1. Compensation is suitable in relation to their competency and performance level. So they want to get compensation that is on par with the level of performance, how competent they are. They don't want anything less than what they deserve or what they work for. 2. Proper financial protection for themselves and their families in terms of benefits, social security, and living costs in a foreign country. They want to ensure that things are put in place so that when they go to the foreign country, they wouldn't have any problems. Benefits would be up to par, social security, cost of living, and everything would be good. 3. They want to have provision for their children education, housing, medical protection, and recreation. And 4. They want to ensure that the policy is progressive with regard to career advancement and repatriation. So when they return from this assignment, they don't want to endure any culture shock. They want things to be put in place so that they would have career enhancement. They wouldn't just come back and be probably at the same position where they left or anything like that. They want to ensure that this assignment will be beneficial so that when they return, they will be able to fit in. What approach is used to determine international compensation? Well, in relation to international compensation, there are two main methods used to determine how the compensation should be paid. One method is by the means of going rate approach, while the other is the balance sheet approach. With the going rate approach, the main idea is linking the expatriate compensation to the salary structure of the host country, where the local market rates and compensation levels of local employees are taken into consideration. So the host country, the parent country would use survey and find out from the host country what rates and stuff they use, so that it will be compared to the compensation they plan to offer to the expatriate, and in this way the expatriate will be treated as a citizen of the host country. The balance sheet approach aims at maintaining the cost of living for the expatriate throughout the assignment at the same level as if they were in their home country, so their salaries match with home country peers and not with host country colleagues. With this being done, they will be afforded the same purchasing power, and it will assist in maintaining their home country's lifestyle. The advantages of the going rate approach are equality with local nationals, simplicity, identification with host country, equity among different nationalities, and the disadvantages are variation between assignments for same employee, variation between assignees of same nationality in different countries, and potential re-entry problems. The advantages of the balance sheet approach is equity between different assignments and between assignees of the same nationality. It facilitates assignee re-entry, and it is easy to communicate to employees. The disadvantages could lead to disparities between assignees of different nationalities in the same host country and between assignees and local nationals, as well as administration could be complex with this approach. Salary compensation for PCNs and TCNs. Well, as we know, PCNs are public company nationals and TCNs are third country nationals. In establishing international compensation for expatriates, whether the employee is a PCN or a TCN, base salary is a foundation building block to determine what should be offered. The level of compensation differs between PCNs and TCNs, since PCNs receive more preferential salary and fringe benefit treatment than TCN. Some of the key differences are found in base salary, foreign service inducement, hardship premium, allowances, and benefits. In the base salary, packages could differ depending on whether the base salary is linked to the home country of the PCN or TCN, or whether an international wage is being paid. Under the foreign service inducement or hardship premium, this salary premium is more offered to PCNs than TCNs for accepting a foreign assignment or as compensation for any hardship caused by the transfer. So, the harder the hardship, or the worse the hardship, or the more that the employee has to go through, is the more premium that they will be paid. Under allowance, there are various forms of allowances that exist, and establishing an overall compensation policy could be very challenging. Cost of living allowance, which receives the most attention, involves a payment to compensate for differences in expenditure between the expatriate's home country and the foreign country. However, TCNs do not always receive certain allowances as frequently as PCNs would, like the housing allowance, due to the fact that they usually move from country to country more regularly than PCNs would. Under benefits, in most instances, PCNs will remain under their home country's benefit plan, while this will differ for TCNs due to the fact that they would have little or no home country social security coverage. Deciding how to provide benefits. One of the reasons why it is important for MNEs to make careful decisions when coming to benefits for expatriates is because pension plans especially could be very difficult to deal with country to country, as national practices may vary considerably. Here are the main issues to be considered. 1. Whether or not to maintain expatriates in home country programs, especially if the firm does not receive a tax deduction for it. 2. Whether the firm has the option of enrolling expatriates in host country benefit programs and or making up any difference in coverage. And 3. Whether expatriates should receive home country or host country social security benefits. If these issues are not carefully considered by MNEs, it could negatively affect the organization since the package might not be attractive enough for the expatriate to accept. Compensation practices of other countries. International compensation administration is usually a more complex situation to deal with as opposed to domestic compensation administration, due to the fact that there would be diversity in culture, economic development, laws and regulations, employment and taxation, customs, environment and employment practices, political systems, roles of labor unions, and standard of living within the foreign country. MNE executives must acquire the adequate knowledge to be able to deal with these differences successfully. The reason why it is important for MNEs to understand the practices of other countries is because it will give them an idea as to how international firms go about choosing their global pay, which is deciding whether to go by internally or externally focused assumptions, strategies, and practices. This combined decision is a complex context of pay for any given global firm. If this concept is understood clearly by MNEs, they would be on par with offering attractive compensation packages to their expatriates, and more success will be acquired in conducting business internationally. Here are my references, and this has brought me to the end of my presentation. I do hope it was informative and all questions asked have been answered. I thank you.